Your story
Yeah.
is really interesting. So you didn't get right into design.
No, I did not.
How did you wind up in design?
I wound up in design eventually because of a massive car accident, but I got to it first through art history and photography, which I started with right out of high school. My family happens to be a little bit more intellectual, and going to school for design specifically was not really on the docket. So starting with a more intellectual take on art was kind of my way forward. Wound up working for museums, galleries, had a really great time. At one point, thought I would wind up as a gallerist, or as an art therapist potentially. In that system, I realized that was not the sort of bureaucracy I wanted to be a part of. Loved the people, loved everything, but the bureaucracy was awful. During that time, I was working for a woman whose husband was an architect and had a little bit of a light bulb moment. Right after the light bulb moment happened, I got hit as a pedestrian by an older gentleman driving a four-door all-metal sedan through a red light at 55 miles an hour and lived to tell the tale. So after that all happened, I had to rethink what life was going to mean in terms of work. I was out a little bit away from college, and I couldn't anymore handle a sort of Monday through Friday 9 to 5 kind of a thing. Enter this next phase of school. So I went to design school.
You went to design school because
Yep.
that's what you wanted to do.
It was in, I mean, I know so many people say this, and this is such a cliche, but it truly is in my blood. Grandpa happens to be an apprenticed architect and a master builder and a contractor. Grandma was a designer. Here I am. That was with Dad. That was one of those, wow, that camera seems neat. Maybe I'll give that a try. And I really enjoyed looking through the lens. So here I am all these years later.
What do you like to shoot?
Everything.
Everything?
And that's a process of the rest of my life and my personal evolution. Started out shooting truly fine art and doing a lot of abstract, a lot of crazy stuff on all sorts of substrates with all types of mediums and all kinds of films. Sure, that went into some product. Then with the rest of the design stuff that came into play, obviously it was a lot of interiors and architecture. So I really span a lot of types of photography.
So this is interesting. Do you shoot all your own projects?
I have.
You have.
I have, because why not?
Does it make it easier for you to get published?
I have at this point flown under the radar. I have to say I personally have not focused on getting published, as strange as that sounds.
Is that something that's on the radar for you now?
It is. It is. As I get older, as I evolve, as we, I think, all get a little bit more brand savvy. Yeah.
How do you find new clients?
You know, a lot of it, depending on who you are, still comes down to social circle and who it is that happens to surround you. We do a lot of socializing. We do a lot of event going. We do a lot of talking and connecting and meeting and listening and that sort of thing. You know, I think the greatest connections still come from a personal connection. So even though you can bring people in through house or through Instagram or through our social media channels, and people can find you via your website, it really does still matter that somebody knows somebody who knows you, generally speaking.